Okay. Radhe Radhe everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to another session of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. This was 100th birthday of our very dear Maharajji. I hope all of us were immersed in the bliss. And I just hand it over to Nitinji for
Thank you.
another great session. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Sandhya. Yes, it was a very special weekend in more than one ways. Celebrations of Maharajji all across the world, and it was very, very special. And I'm sure a lot of you would have enjoyed that immersive experience. This year has been special as well in more than one ways. So many people can vouch for that. So welcome back. Hope you had a great weekend and enjoyed the grand celebrations that we had on the centenary celebrations of Sri Maharajji. So welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Today is World Mental Health Day as well. So we're going to take some reference from Bhagavad Gita and talk about that and see if we can touch upon the Karam Yoga aspect of it as well. But it's very important thing. So we're going to spend a bit of a time there on that as well and see how far we progress. So welcome again, everybody. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening. Let me share my screen and we'll get underway. Let me share my screen. Sound. Is it visible? Great.
Yes.
Okay, so we will get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru like we always do. You're welcome to follow along at your respective places. You could do it silently. I mean, with your mute on, you could recite it as well. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Radhe Radhe. Morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome back to our Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita class. So let's get started. I have picked up a shloka today. We are doing Karam Yoga, so I've not forgotten that fact. But we'll spend a little bit of time on another shloka today because it's World Mental Health Day today. And mental health, the health of mind cannot be overstated, and we will see why. So let's get started. I picked up the shloka. Lord Krishna is saying in chapter 6, verse 5. That is what we are going to pick up, and you're welcome to follow along. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadaye atmaiva hyatmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Okay.
All right. Rukmini ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Udderedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadaye atmaiva atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha.
Very nice, Rukmini ji. Wonderful. Look forward to Lord Krishna's.
Now we have Vittal ji as well next to Rukmini ji. So Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Vittal ji.
Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhu ratmaiva ripuratmanaha.
Dhanyavada. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, I must say Rukmini ji and Vittal ji had done a wonderful performance of depicting the Leelas of Maharajji. It was a very beautiful act, and if you haven't seen it, like for everyone, please consider watching that video. I really enjoyed it. It has
Yeah,
depicted.
watch it, share it, like it. It's a wonderful piece of creation by our wonderful participants who loved it. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, let's move on.
Yes, Sumesh ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Just want to reiterate, we have picked up this shloka. We'll get to the Karam Yoga. I know we are yet to conclude that, but we have picked it up because today is World Mental Health Day. So we will touch upon this topic a little bit today. We'll see how far we go today. Yes, Somesh.
Uddharedhatmanatmanam natmavasadaye atmaiva hyatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanah.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Radhe Radhe Sumesh.
Akshata ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Akshata ji.
Radhe Radhe. Uddharetma. Uddhar. 1 minute. Uddharedatmanatmanam. Natmanamavasadaye atmaiva hatmeno bandharatmeva ripuratmanah.
Well tried, Akshata ji. It's like Atmeva Hyatmano Bandhur, Atmeva Ripuratmana for the meter. Thank you. All right, let's move on.
Surya Prakash ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Surya Prakash ji.
Uddharedhatmanatmanam na atmanama bhavasadayet atmaiva hiratmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanah.
Thank you. Very nice. Let's take a few more hands.
Yes.
And we have to really apply our mind today because we are going to dissect our mind today. Okay. And really get into the skin of our mind to see how we can actually make it our friend. Yes, let's continue.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Shri Ramya ji.
Uddharethatmanatmanam natmanam avasadaye atmaiva hyatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanah.
Wonderful, very nice. Shri Ramya ji.
Uday Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe
go
Radhe,
ahead.
Uday ji.
Radhe Radhe. Uddharedhatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanah. Radhe
Wonderful,
Radhe.
very nice. Uday ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, we can take quickly the remaining hands as well.
Yeah, Riya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hetmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanah.
Wonderful, very nice.
Ashish ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe, Ashish.
Radhe Radhe. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanah.
Very nice. Thank you, Ashish ji. All right, we have two more hands. We can really take them real quick and then move on.
Varsha ji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe
go
Radhe,
ahead.
Varsha ji.
Radhe Radhe, it's me, Nitin ji.
Oh, Lakshmi ji.
Oh, Lakshmi.
Yeah, it's my daughter's name.
We recognize your voice as well.
Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Uddharethatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hayatatmano bandhuratmaiva ripuratmanah. Thank you.
All right.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Lakshmi ji. Radhe Radhe. All right. Last but not the least,
Yes, thank you for waiting, Arunji.
Please go
Radhe.
ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanah.
Very nice, Arunji. Radhe Radhe. Thank you. So, for those of you who joined late, if you are wondering what happened to Karam Yoga is still staying. We are yet to have at least a couple more discussions on that topic. We will pick up on it, maybe possibly today as well, time permitting. This shloka I have picked up because today is World Mental Health Day, and I was reminded by Sandhya we need to do something. So I said, all right, let's pick up this topic and have a bit of a discussion because it is a very, very important aspect of our life and most neglected aspect of life as well, believe it or not, ironically. Let's see what Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna around this. It's from chapter 6, verse 5 I picked up. The following shlokas are also related to that, but we'll just pick up this shloka and move on. Lord Krishna is saying, elevate yourself through the power of your mind. Okay? So he's giving a formula to elevation. In human life, we can elevate ourselves. Elevation means going up and not degrade yourself. That means it's a double-edged sword. You can lift yourself up or you can pull yourself down. Both options are open. For the mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. Okay, now it's entirely up to us whether we want to use our mind as a friend, something which is beneficial for us, or have our mind work against us as an enemy. Now just think of the possibility that...
Where's the charger?
Charger, okay, sorry. Okay. You have to mute yourself. All right, think of the possibility if you have an enemy residing in your house who's always after you to put you down or to do some harm to you. Isn't it a precarious situation to be in? And in this case, and that enemy is invisible in your house. It's a very precarious situation to be in because you have to be on the watch out for it. At what moment that enemy might take siege on you and do some harm to you when you let your guard off. In this case, the enemy that is being spoken about is none other than your mind. That you think, that you actually think of your own identity, that I am my mind. So our scriptures are telling us the biggest enemy that we need to overcome is actually our own mind. Mind and mend the mind because mind has a mind of its own. Okay, your mind will surprise you by thinking things that you didn't even think. Why would you think? Okay, that is that much threat this mind poses to each one of us. And mental health, when we talk about, it's a neglected aspect. Now people are coming forward and admitting, depression. In fact, there's a statistic, I believe every third or fifth person is suffering from some kind of depression, right? Some kind of depression in some form or manner. And people don't consider it as a taboo anymore, right? Especially the celebrities, they don't. And they come forward. We know Deepika Padukone, she admitted that publicly. More recently, Virat Kohli is talking about, when he went to the tour of England and he became a bunny of Jimmy Anderson. He could not score much because these people, they set such high standards for themselves in their mind. And if they're not able to perform up to that, it starts playing tricks with them. And that contemplation, or if that mind is not tended to or nurtured in a proper manner, can lead to catastrophic things that can happen, right? We see a celebrity had ended his life. It became such a big issue. So Sushant Singh Rajput, we heard about that. Similarly, we have seen so many things. Jim Morrison, I'll tell you, the guy, he was a celebrity, he was a rock star here in US. And at the age of, I believe, pretty young age, I think he was in his late 20s or early 30s, he had fans drooling for him. They will die for him when he would perform live. And one day he just ended his life. And his note said that he lost the drive in life. There was nothing giving him that kick that he needed, because he had experienced the peak and he thought from here on it's only going to be downhill. Those kind of catastrophic things can happen if we don't take care of the mental health aspect of it. And our scriptures are actually telling us, giving us all the tips around it, how to take care of this important aspect of life. And this is not an important aspect of life from a material standpoint alone. This is all the more important from a scriptural standpoint. Panchadashi says, Manev Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Moksheo. This is because of this mind alone that we keep on repeating in this cycle of life and death. And we keep on talking about this concept in other sessions. We have spoken about it. We will continue on that a little bit more today, that the only agenda of life is to fix this mind. God says you fix this and the job is done, which is called Antahkaran Shuddhi. Right? Mind actually has 4 aspects to it: Man, Buddhi, Chit and Ahankar, which is also called Antahkaran. So cleaning that is what spirituality is all about. Spirituality is not something hocus pocus or anything. It's just about fixing this aspect. That's it. We fix it, we are done. The job is done. The vessel is prepared and we hit the spiritual jackpot. Okay. Now let's move on. We'll talk more about it. Now I'm going to show you something. Okay, it'll help you visualize what we are dealing with here. Okay, so let's look at this. You see here, there's a monkey, right? Happy monkey, playful monkey. And then just imagine in your head, there's a monkey, which we know, right, are very chanchal, very naughty by nature itself. And then imagine this naughty monkey, which wants to run around and create ruckus all around, happens to drink wine. Okay, you make it drink wine, and then it is getting stung by a scorpion as well. Naughty monkey who's high on drinks and stung by a scorpion. You can imagine the state of that monkey. And this is nothing other than what, you know what it is? This is our scriptures say. Now let's look at it from a scriptural reference standpoint. Sage Tulsidas in Ramayana, right? You can read that out. He says, "Oh Lord Ram, if a scorpion is tied to a monkey's tail, in any case, monkey is a restless creature. How restless will it be? On top of that, it has got hysteria. What will be the state of the monkey? And then you make him drink alcohol. That monkey will be totally out of control. And oh my Lord, my mind is like that monkey." Imagine who's saying that. Tulsidas, who had said that, "Na main kari na kari sakun, sahib karta mor, karat karawat aap hai, tulsi tulsi shor." That Tulsidas is saying that a restless monkey who is high on alcohol is stung by a scorpion. That is how my mind is. Just imagine the bar he has set for himself. And he's a saint. He's not an ordinary human being. We people think, right, we are a big deal. He's actually a big deal. And he's thinking I'm not a big deal. And he's saying this is how my mind is. And then he says, furthermore, he goes on to say, why is he saying that? Because he's exercising the bhav of being Deen. God is called Deen Bandhu and Patit Pavan. And he's also called Bhakta Vatsal. Out of these 3, if you were to become a Bhakt, it's relatively difficult. If you become Deen or Patit, it's an easier path, because we anyway are. We simply have to accept it. So he's actually taking that course so that he can go on to add, "So I have got no recourse except your grace." A saint is saying that. Now just imagine if modern psychologists, Sigmund Freud and all, they had the benefit of our Upanishads, BhagavadGita, they would understand what we are trying to tackle here. You know, what is the true technology and the science that would not just cure the symptom through the drugs, but actually hit the root cause. Okay. He's saying, I have no recourse except your grace. So I'm surrendering to you. Please correct my mind. So much, the mind is such that it keeps working. In fact, it is said when Brahmaji created humans, Now humans, it was created, this wonderful creation was created in the image of God himself. Obviously a poor image of God, we cannot be like God. Then he gave them two stomachs. One we know that we fill with food, other one is this, which is never filled, no matter what you keep putting into it. And that is where it is said that this is more like a garden, Swamiji says, where we don't let weeds grow in that garden. It's important the food we are letting inside our mind. Food is what? What is the food for our mind? Thoughts. Right? There's a beautiful book written by Swamiji, Power of Thoughts. What kind of food you need to nurture your mind with? And if you are going to let weeds grow, then the tendency of weed is to bring more of its own kind. It will bring its family, friends, cousins, brothers, sisters, in-laws, everything, right? Weeds, how it works. So if you are feeding your mind junk, see, if you feed your stomach junk, we know what happens. And if you start feeding your mind junk, it will have junk results as well. And mind, Panchadashi, like I said, Manev Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Eva Moksha. That is how it goes. And mind is so powerful that there's a beautiful saying. It says that mind is something which actually chisels the contours of your face as well. So if you are upset or if you're not feeling good, it will start chiseling your face and your appearance, outer appearance as well. That is how powerful mind is. So happy people, they radiate good vibes. They radiate a good glowing personality. And unhappy people who are always upset, they find reasons, who manufacture worries, who have a problem for every solution, who become upset for every second thing, they radiate those kind of vibes as well. Even in fact, our heart, it radiates electromagnetic waves. That is why sometimes you go to some place or meet certain people and you say, oh wow, so nice it was meeting them. Some radiation is there. Where is it coming from? Thoughts, mind, that is where, and your heart is where our soul is, right? So that personality, your personality will get chiseled from your thoughts as well. That is the role of our mind, how powerful our mind is, right? So, and the state of our mind is like this drunk monkey with a scorpio on its tail. Okay, that is to put it mildly. Why mildly? Because Saint Tulsidas is saying that if he feels that way, for us ordinary mortals, we can only imagine what our mind can do, right? Even Arjun, he has said, asked Lord Krishna further, in BhagavadGita, that chanchalam hi manah Krishna manah durnigraham chalam. Right? And then Krishna goes on to respect asanchyam hi mahabaho manah durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kante vairagyena chagriyate. So he's basically affirming what Arjun is saying. And Arjun is also not an ordinary person. He was the guy who could only see the bird's eye, who just saw Urvashi's feet. Right? That was his level, and he's also saying the same. So we have to be really, really very cautious, mindful of the fact that enemy, which is residing within us, that this Bhagavad Gita shloka is also talking about, right? We really got to be cautious of it. First of all, we have to acknowledge the enemy, then we can do something about it, right? How many of us, if we did not have the benefit of scriptures, would have even thought that we are living within any enemy? Nobody would have. We are simply dancing to the tunes of our mind, which is our biggest enemy. It's a double-edged sword, of course. Let's move on. So, if you look at it, this is us, right? And this is our senses. And mind is known as, these are the sense objects. Mind is the governor of these five senses. Right? It is the interface between I, the ego that we have, and the external world. And this is the cause of our bondage and liberation as well. So any karma that we do, we have been talking about the science of Karam Yoga. If you do not do Karam Yoga, see, Karam Yoga seems like a great concept, right? And it is a great concept. But let's say we don't do Karam Yoga. We want to do karma, simple karma that we are doing. Or vikaram that I'm going to talk about later. So there are actions can be of three types. Either pure actions or actions which are neutral or actions which are degrading. Right? These are the three actions, like positive actions, negative actions, or neutral actions. The neutral actions is Karam Yoga, where you are not accruing any more karma. If you're doing positive actions or negative actions like we do in our lives, then we both are binding. And because they are binding, we will keep on repeating on this earth. So just being good person, trying to be good is not good enough. We have spoken about this concept as well, right? So it's our mind that needs to be fixed. So any activity that we carry, that is talking about in Karam Yoga, if we are not making it Karam Yoga, truly bringing in yoga aspect of it, we are still doing it for our ego, for our own self, and not bringing God into the equation, then we'll keep on repeating in this world. It's simple formula. That's what our scriptures are telling us. So, like you say, it all begins and ends in your mind. What you give power to has power over you. So, what we have done so far in our multiple lifetimes is we have empowered our mind. So, it exerts the power over us. Now, spirituality is all about regaining that control back through our intellect and our free will. So it's regaining that control over the mind is spirituality is all about. Taming this enemy that is sitting inside us, which is always misguiding us. Has, however, your mind told you to do things which are benefits, it will always resist. You have to exert a higher power, almost like swimming against the tide, to tell your mind, no, you are telling me this, but I need to do something else. Because it is not pleasurable. Even though it's not pleasurable, it is beneficial. I'm going to choose something beneficial over pleasurable thing. But this mind, it will take a while. It's just like, something like a drug addict. It will show withdrawal symptoms when you try to tame it. So you have to continuously and relentlessly work on it. That is what spirituality is all about. The fact that we are reading this scripture, we are trying to contemplate upon it. We have subscribed to that tracker and filling out things that we want to work on. Means we want to really tame this mind. We really want to befriend it so that we can start using it to our advantage. It is said, mind is a great master, but it is a bad master, but good servant. And right now it is a bad master. We need to make it a good servant. Okay? That is what mind is. Now I will want to take this thing and have a quick discussion on this concept of conquering. Okay. Now, who will conquer the world? Anybody who wants to take that question? And this is again from one of our saints who has spoken about this topic and asked this question. Yes, Shri Ramya, you want to add something?
Radhe Radhe Shri Ramya ji, please go ahead.
I wanted to answer this question. There's a story that when Alexander came to India, he came across saying, but he didn't pay respect to him. He was in his own meditation, and Alexander got angry and he said, you know who I am? I'm the one who conquered the world. And the saint said, you have conquered the world, but you couldn't conquer your own mind. You're getting agitated and angry. So the one who conquers the mind is the one who has conquered the world.
Great. Very true. The one who has conquered the mind has conquered the world. Yes, let's see what others want to add on this one. I can see a couple
have a new hand also raised. Kanchan.
Kanchan
Radhe Radhe Kanchan ji. Oh, I don't know. Can you hear us?
Kanchan ji, you can hear us or you can come back. That'll be great.
Yes, Sam ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Sam ji.
There's a movie also by the same name in Punjabi, that Man Jeet Jagjit. In Sikhism, the person who has won his or her mind, they can win the whole world. So that's the gist of the whole thing, I guess.
True. Man ke jeete jeet hai, man ke hare har, right? There's a saying in Hindi. And Jagat Guru Shankaracharya, he had stated that, he said, Jagat jiten ken. And the answer is Mano hi yen. One who has conquered this mind has conquered the entire world. As simple as that. The whole drill that we are doing in spirituality is all about conquering our mind. The day we have conquered our mind, our job is done. We have hit the spiritual jackpot. Right? There's another saying Swamiji says, I forget, and then I make my own out of that improvisation. I get that. Keep on forgetting that. It says, एक पते की बात अगर समझनी हो बनाइए समझनी हो अपनाओगे या एक पते की बात समझो तो अपनाओगे जो अपनाओगे जैसा मन को बनाओगे वैसा ही बन जाओगे. So the way you mold, shape your mind, that is how you'll end up becoming. So if your mind is negative, you will end up becoming a negative personality. If your mind is always anxious, you will start radiating anxious energy all around. If your mind is positive, you will radiate calmness and peacefulness all around. Right? Captain Cool, Mr. Dhoni was called. Why? Because he had good control over his mind. That's what, one of the traits that made him successful in that sport. Because even if he's getting frustrated, he will not show that emotion. He will just show the same stoic look on his face. And how it would help? The nervousness would not get radiated to his bowlers or team members, even though inside him he might be feeling that, but he had good control. What he will display to his teammates, and that would rub off on his teams under stressful situations. Just imagine if the captain itself is getting panicky, what will happen to the rest of the team? And that was one of the things that served him in good stead in long run. And he was able to, at least I really like that signature look in his eyes when he hit that six to win India World Cup after so many years. He was just calm and collected, right? God says that don't ride that emotion. And I could just see that he exemplified in that moment of great joy. People around him had gone crazy. Right? It was a big occasion, host country winning the World Cup for the first time, and India winning it after, I believe, close to 30 years. Such a big occasion it was, and he was a small town guy who led India to that success. It could have gotten into anybody's head, right? But the way he hit it, it's like they took the stump, job is done, and moved on. Right? And if you look at it, he's the most successful ICC captain. There's nothing that he did not win. I'm not saying he was perfect guy, but he exemplified and showed certain traits which Bhagavad Gita is talking about, which made him successful. Just to see a life example of how he was able to take both success and failures. His attitude towards that, which made him one of the greatest captains India would ever have. So the point here, again, coming back to that aspect, if Jagat Jiten Kain, Manohi Kain, that is what Shankaracharya ji had said. And great Alexander, I think because he brought in that example, he said when he died, he said, keep my hands outside my coffin. Okay, so that when the world sees those hands, they realize that even though great Alexander conquered the entire world, but he still left empty-handed. So the point here being that the real treasures are the treasures of the inner adornments that we carry from lifetime to lifetime. And even collecting those treasures means working on your mind. That is how important our mind is. And if we keep feeding it junk or erroneous knowledge, then we anyway know the kind of results we see around, right? I've given you quite a few examples from the real world, how their mind has let them down to an extent that they've gone on to ruin their own lives around themselves, and even in extreme cases, ended their lives as well. Okay. SSSG, you wanted to add something?
There's also a comment from Lakshmi ji. She says, conquer our own mind, which is equal to conquering the world. And SSSG, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe, SSSG.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe. Sir, I have I have couple of questions. One is by conquering the mind, sometimes there is a loss of motivation or drive to lead a life. For example, Shankaracharya also at a very young age, he quit his body. Or for example, Sant Jnaneshwar also at the age of 19, he wrote Jnaneshwari, and then the momentum to live itself, means they had conquered their minds early, but then they lost the motivation to, or the drive to live a life. That is first question. And secondly is, in case of Corona also, the older people were more affected, whereas the mind becomes more mature as you grow older. But it was seen that your physical attributes or whatever physical parameters also overcome your mind power. So, yeah. Yeah, those were my
Yes.
two
So
questions.
second question, what is I understood your first question. Second question,
Yeah.
what you're saying, you would say people as you grow older, it should become stronger, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they have a mature mind, no doubt. But then the physical state of overcomes their mind power, it seems, because the infections or they get caught easily to those people. Now their mind is strong, no doubt. They have so much experience. As you go older, you have read, you are well read, you have all kinds of experiences, but then still this physical state overcomes you at some point of time, and then you fall prey to those infections or whatever it is. So this powerful mind, in as you go older, why doesn't it reflect in your health also?
Yeah, one by one. So the first question you said, why did some of the great saints, they lost the motivation and left their body, right? That was your first question.
Yes.
Okay. So that is a presumption on your part. Okay, when great saints come, they come for an express purpose. Okay. Shankaracharya, he established, I don't know, 4 months within an age of 32. He completed the job that he came here for. In fact, in Padma Puran, it is said that Shankaracharya was none other than Shankarji's avatar. Now, let's understand this concept. The difference between saints and humans is, first of all, saints, they are not subject to panchaklesh, tridosh, tritap, and all the afflictions of mind, depression, anxiety, greed, fear. They are not subject to that. They are God realized, means they are beyond these things. Then why would they leave their body? Right? Why? That is your question. Your presumption is it is kind of committing suicide. No, that is not the right understanding. Even when they come or descend on this earth, they follow the rule of prarabdha. They come with the prarabdha, okay? Because they don't violate. Even though they don't feel anything, they don't violate the prarabdha law of God. They don't intervene in that. Okay? Even though they could, but they don't intervene in that. They take that prarabdha. The difference between technical difference between them leaving their body and us leaving our bodies, we are forced to leave it by Mr. Yamaraj. Okay, when he comes, it's a very painful process. We don't want to leave this body. And then he just takes you out, cuts the umbilical cord, and it's a painful process. The saints, they can do it through own volition. Okay? They know their time for which they had come is over, so they leave their body willfully, okay, without any fuss. And anyway, they can descend to serve God anytime because they're already God realized. So let's not confuse that with the people who take their own lives. They, when their time is up, they know how to leave their body at that point. They're not committing suicide out of some kind of anger, frustration, or depression. That's the first thing. The second thing you said was the wisdom of people should be directly proportional, or the strength of the mind should be directly proportional to your age. I don't know. I mean, if there is any formula or rule for that, yes, it could be. If you have been sharpening your saw for your entire life through regular practices, discipline, and proper guidance, sure. But if you are not, it could actually be the opposite. You might be actually becoming weak with time. You've seen older people become more emotional. They are more fearful and all. So really depends on what you have fed your mind for most part of your life. And that is why it is said the sooner you start grasping spiritual principles and start practicing in your life, the more they will serve you when you start growing older and older. Those practices, they do help. It's not like you will switch on a button when you grow old and all of a sudden spiritual principles, God, and all these concepts will start clicking to you. No, your lifetime practice is something that will haunt you at that point. And it can haunt you in a good way if you have done it, proper spiritual practice, and you have practice it, reciting God's name, remember God, and all that stuff. So this is again an incorrect premise that they become mentally stronger as they grow old. Not necessarily. It could be the other way around as well. Right? If they have empowered their mind so much that they have only watched BBC, or they have only watched movies related to genocide and stuff, it could actually make them schizophrenic towards the end of their life. So many cases are there. You've seen, right? Praveen Bobby, that actress, was there. I mean, she used to think that Bill Clinton has hired a plumber to kill her anytime anybody would knock on her door. What kind of a fear is that? It can happen. Really depends on what, and if you've been watching a lot of Netflix horror movies, who knows what kind of thought pattern you will develop in your mind, right? You may get attracted to Pret Yonis and all that stuff. Anyway, we're going to have a Halloween presentation that Samji is working on. So it really depends what we have fed our mind for most part of our life. Nothing to do with our age, I would say. You could actually be growing weaker by the day because of the food that you are serving this stomach of yours. And that is how I see that.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
I just wanted to pitch in and say that I have posted the link for the feedback tracker. If there are questions, you can also put it there.
So one question I would like to pose another. Okay, if that is the case, what do we feed our mind in that case to actually arm it with the things that will not derail it or take it to negativity or take it to fear, anxiety and stuff like that? What is the food you would like to dish out to your brain or your mind?
We have 2 hands raised.
Yeah, sure. Let's quickly take that.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. To answer Nitinji's question, the food for the mind, what we have to feed in our mind, the mind is fed through the senses. The senses are the input to the mind. So what we see, what we hear, and all of this is what we feed to the mind. And what is it that we are ideally supposed to feed the mind is the knowledge that we are part and parcel of the Supreme God. So and we need to serve him. So through and be assured that if he is taken care, I mean, if he is happy, we are happy. Our happiness isn't his happiness. And once we feed our mind with this knowledge through all the 5 senses, maybe through whatever we see, if we know that we are connected to him, and whatever we eat or something, we know that we are connected to him, and we are satisfying him, which is satisfied. This is this is what we have to feed.
Sure, I'll start a thread on that. I think it will be interesting. What is the food you would like to give your mind on a daily basis, right? How would you like to nourish your mind? So let's start a thread, and I would really like to hear that. And there are certain practices you could do where you can actually clear out the space for any negativity. And like for attitude of gratitude is one of those things. A prayerful heart, a heart full of gratitude, has no time for any negative energy in it. So there are certain practices we can follow, but I would like to see, I think we can build on that. I'll create that thread today. Let's think about it and see. Maybe in your tracker, you could put it as one of your goals, right? You can talk about the tracker that we have floated for your self thing, right? It's a beautiful tracker to pick up on certain things that you want to really improve upon. But for some reason, you have been postponing it because you did not get a structure on how to make it tangible or objectify it. But we have a beautiful tracker Urvi and team have come up with. And you can just put in your thing, declare it to the world that I'm going to work on this one, and just measure it yourself. Be honest about, did you succeed or to what extent you succeeded. And over a period of few months, you will realize the gains will be significant around it. I'm going to create a thread on that, but some food for thought on the things that we want to put in, especially if we have some habitual patterns of getting into a certain kind of a mindset. In Canada, it is said that they have ice pathways. And it is called, once you take a ice pathway, particular thing, it's called rut. Okay, the technical term for that is rut. And it is said very clearly there, choose your rut wisely, because once you are stuck in that, there are at least 15 kilometers you will have to go before you can exit back, and then take another one. So choose your rut wisely. Same thing applies to our mind as well. What rut we are choosing on a day-to-day basis, right? It's like this, the waves, they will keep coming to your feet one after another. So if you're on a seashore and the waves are coming one after another, are you obliged to ride each one of those? You are not. You can choose the waves you want to surf, and that ability we do have, which we often don't exercise. Right? There was a book I was reading. It's like if you follow, maybe there was a 13-second rule or something, that if there is a thought that comes to your mind and you choose to persist that thought beyond 13 seconds, that means you are making a choice. If you have a choice to reject it. But if you are going beyond 13 seconds, okay, you can debate whether it's 13 or 30, but the point here is that means you have taken a conscious choice to energize it. Swamiji says that don't get surprised with your mind. It will generate a thought. Okay, don't get surprised. But the choice whether to energize it or not is in your hands. And when you energize it, it actually gets counted as a karma. Not just fact that a thought came, flash of thought and you reject it. Then it's not. But when you start to energize it, choose to surf it, that's when it becomes karma. So in chapter 3, Lord Krishna is saying, Nahi kanchit kshanamapi. Not even for a second, anybody is without action. Every thought is an action too. We think an action is something that we do. Even if you have thought harm about somebody in your mind, it's considered as an action, karma. It gets logged as a sankalp by God. All right, you thought that, done. That is already embedded, left some kind of an impression on your mind, which will become your future sanskar. So every thought, it's a great, Winston Churchill had said that the responsibility of greatness lies on every thought we harbor in our mind. So the greatness happens only when you start having greater thoughts, noble thoughts, elevating thoughts, not poor thoughts, lower energy thoughts, and degrading thoughts. So that choice we have to exercise through witness consciousness, through arming ourselves with proper knowledge, by giving us good nourishment in form of satsangs and seva and sadhana and proper bhav, by implementing the practices of Karam Yoga. All these things are enablers and tools for us so that we are tending to this faculty which exerts so much of power on us. And currently it is our enemy. I hope it's making sense. Let's take the remaining hands to continue with this discussion before we get into sharing the tracker and some of the updates that we have for the day.
And just to add this beautiful thing that Swamiji has given us, this 3-step process, dilution, substitution, and sublimation, to kind of empower our mind in the right direction.
True. Beautiful. Yeah, these 3-step processes, very, very practical, that Swamiji has given us.
Yeah, so it's in the book Power of Thoughts, and feel free to consult that book for empowering your mind in the right direction.
Right. So this is what I had decided to discuss today. Great points, Sandhya. Those 3 points are invaluable. Maybe you can share that. We can put it in the thread as well, just to as a recap for that. I want to create a thread on this. And I'm sure we can build on this thread big time with a lot of inputs around it. I had planned to discuss this originally, but I think 10 minutes will not do justice to it. So I'll pick it up tomorrow. But let's continue on our discussion, what we are discussing, because it's World Mental Health Day. Let's build on what we have been talking about. How do we conquer and make our mind our friend?
And along the same lines, Uday Kumarji also messaged. He said that attaching the mind to God and to his names, forms, places, and saints will help. So thank you for that. And as Nitinji mentioned, we would really encourage everybody to participate at the community portal and provide all your comments with respect to the activity and the question that will be put up. So okay, we'll start taking hands right now.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing. Another thing we have to understand from my mind is that mind is material in nature. It is made up, when we talk about anything material, it is made up of those three gunas, right, of Maya, which is Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva that we're talking about. The only way to fix our mind is to take it past these gunas. The only way to break this shackle of our mind is to get an upgrade, okay, beyond these gunas. And that upgrade is only possible when you start attaching your mind to something which is beyond these gunas. Okay, that is where Karam Yoga is a great tool. And that practice that we can do on a daily basis, where we are taking our mind to divinity, divine, right? Our ekant sadhana, even the seva that we do, in that bhav that I'm doing it for the pleasure of God. These practices will give you that upgrade that we are looking for. On our self-effort alone, through our self-contemplations alone, no matter how high we go, it will still be in the realm of material nature only. Right? So it is called sadhan bhakti, which we do through our efforts, trying to attach it to God. And then it is called kripa sadhya, where God's grace start mixing into it. Because you are trying to attach it, God is seated within, noting your intentions around. And then through God's grace and your efforts, when the God's grace start mixing with it, you start getting an upgrade. And when your mind becomes divine, the job is done at that point. Okay, let's take the remaining hands.
Yes. Shalini ji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe,
go ahead.
Shalini ji.
Radhe Radhe. Just to, I mean, one of the thoughts which I try very hard to practice is he alone is mine. So that's something I'm trying to implement these days with the thread of the thoughts.
Yep.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Maharaj ji has written a beautiful bhajan, right? Tu hi tu hi to hai mera nand nandan. Main bhi to hu tera nand nandan. So we are saying, oh, you alone are mine. Even in Hindi we say, right? Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva. So we know that, but we are doing it orally. It has become a mechanical exercise. But yeah, if you think deeply about it, God is the only sambandhi. This family, will they accompany us when we depart this world? Nobody will. They will simply change roles in next life. And God, He will accompany us even when we go to some other yoni. Even if you become a donkey, He will still accompany us. And He is the true Nati or Sambandhi. And that's what our scriptures are telling us as well. We have forgotten that relationship. So yes, and the essence of spirituality is to revive that relationship by constant remembrance. All right, great point, Shalini ji. Thank you.
Padma ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Since it's a World Health Mental Day, just from a different, not a different angle, but just from a different perspective of, we have the blessings of Swamiji, we have the blessings of Kripali Maharaji. We are sitting here, or any other sessions or anything that you have in your life which is spiritual, and we have the grace of actually contemplating on our own mental health and how we can mend it, mold it, and modify it. But also at the same time, where do we stand in terms of our own position with the situations? Because when we talk about mental health, many of the times it's about situations which are so away from our true nature of what it should be. If our true nature is, if we are really associated and connected with our true nature, which is the soul, even not talking about God realization, at least if our samskaras or if our mindset and if our heart is kind of aligned to the true nature of our soul, then we don't have that addictions that our mind have, where we have to convince our mind and keep it happy with external things, where we are constantly comparing our inner self to the outer sense, outer side, whether it's social media, whether it's peer pressure, whether it is judgments, whether it is anger, whether it is greed, any qualities that kind of disturbs our mind from the natural state, then we are influenced by that mind and we have to bring it back to our natural sense. So in that sense, we have a greater responsibility, not just on ourselves and a spiritual promise that we have towards God, that we will be aligned to our true nature so that we can be a better person, just not for ourselves, but also for other people who are around us. And in that context, I think when we contemplate upon not just the spiritual knowledge, but how it actually, the essence it gives us, where we make mistakes and where somebody else might be actually lacking, and to understand where they might be actually struggling mentally. So few things come up in our mind, which is maybe they are struggling with their past samskaras, they are struggling with their a past which might have happened in their lives, nature or nurture, lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence, lack of their own true self, then it gives us a bigger sense where we can offer them that sympathy, where they can offer them that love, where we can offer them that compassion and identify why they are or we are addicted to that constant mindset, and how our chemicals in our body and mind are changing and constantly telling us that it's pleasurable to think about negative things, to do negative things, to contemplate upon those negative things. And when we have the true understanding, at least when we're attempting with the faith in God, then we will be equipped more to compassionately empathize with the situation or a person, and give them the resources and the tools where they can actually move away from those constant repetitions of the minds or things which happen, and especially when resources are so much available, whether it's social media, whether it's phone, whether it is influenced by peer pressure, whether it's Facebook, somebody looks very beautiful, some family looks very beautiful, and we compare ourselves and we feel like we are not enough. When we say to ourselves that we are not enough, then immediately that disease of mind where we have to be enough for somebody else comes into the picture. And the other thing that I wanted to say, it's just my observation, I could be completely wrong. Of course, coming culturally, we want to respect elders, we want to give them the privilege and the right and the position that they deserve. But unless that elder person have lived from a witness mindset and their true natural sense, it's kind of very abnormal that one would actually grow in wisdom with the age. That's just my general observation. And why should we do it? Because the body, the mind, and the combination that God has given us, if we are constantly repeating ourselves in these negative things, our brain is damaged. Physically, brain will be damaged. Our emotional state will be damaged.
Yeah, 15 more seconds, Padmaji. I think we have to really move on quickly.
Yeah, that's the bigger essence where we have that spiritual responsibility, not just for ourselves, but others also, to identify why it happens and maybe give them some empathy, love, compassion, and resources.
Sure. Great. So yeah, I think you can share it on portal as well, the tools that we can use to help others. I would focus more on the tools that we can employ for ourselves, right? The journey starts by fixing ourselves. Like in aeroplane also it is said, right? Put the oxygen mask on yourself before you start trying to help others. So this is a journey, self-exploratory journey, I would say. Our focus would still remain. Of course, we want to help others out as best as we can, without forgetting the big picture that we need to fix ourselves to begin with. And that is the primary reason why we keep repeating here and the kind of challenges that are thrown our way. So spirituality is fixing ourselves before we start thinking about fixing the rest of the world. It'll happen. God will pick us up as an instrument when we are sufficiently eligible for it to get a wider help, as Krishna always does, from time to time. Saints come and then even he picks up ordinary people as his instruments to get, basically serve people around as well. But let's focus on the tools that we can apply on ourselves. And that's what I'm going to create a thread on. And Padmaji, you can put that on the portal as well, the tools that you think that could be employed by people on themselves to fix themselves. And I think it will really have an enriching discussion around that. Yes, Shreema, you had a question as well?
Shri Ramyaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
No, I actually raised my hand for bhajan. I'm not sure if you have bhajan today.
You'll be super proactive around that. Sure. So, Sandhya, we had any announcements before we move on to the next part? So tomorrow we will continue discussion on the last principle of Karam Yoga, which is do not be attached to inaction. We'll wrap that up and we will have a wonderful presentation as well that I'm looking forward to. I'm not going to spill the beans on that. So stay tuned. And we look forward to that. Any announcements we can make and then move forward?
Yeah, I just thought I'll quickly show. So like it's been already more than 2 weeks for
Sure.
our daily activity tracker.
Yes.
So I thought we could simply applaud the ones who have been doing really, really well.
Sure.
And I'll quickly show the daily activity tracker. I've already shared the link for the portal. So all of you, please try to go to the portal. And if you have any technical issues connecting, you can always reach out to us. You can also put it in the feedback tracker. But we strongly encourage all of you to participate in the portal. We have already, I think I'll just quickly show that as well so that people understand that.
Yeah, so this is a great resource. Do avail it. And I think it's an opportunity for us as a group to start making a difference. Like we keep on postponing a lot of things that we really want to work on, and this is an opportunity. Don't let it go, I would say. Sign up for it, and it's for our own introspection. And I really kudos to the team, Urvi and folks, to come up with this tracker. And I personally find it as a great resource. I'll keep on building on it. brings in accountability as well. So you can't hide from yourself, okay? Let me put it that way. And if you're brave enough, go ahead and declare war on things you want to work on. Life will always happen. You'll always find an excuse. I'm busy. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Only if this thing will settle down, then I'll do this. But trust me, this tracker will start showing you the things you can actually work on and start making a difference.
All right, so I think all of you can see this screen, which is the portal screen. And as you can see, we have lots of posts. We have daily summaries from the session. And nowadays, Jyoti is also putting beautiful sketches that she's making, which reminds us of Krishna. And along with the daily summary, which just makes it even more beautiful. Apart from that, we have a post on the daily activity challenge. So this is the tracker document. And I'll just quickly click here and show you. So many of us have already signed up for it. We have two tabs here. One for the things we want to do on a regular basis. We want to make a habit of doing it. And another tab for things we want to break a habit for. So we all can sign up for this. We have been following it, and already this is our 2-week mark and we have crossed it. And we have the winners, and for that, I think I had just this.
We have a winner as well. Yeah, let's give a round of applause to our winners here.
Yes.
Wonderful. One thing I will do, Urvi, and one thing I will not do, Anubhuti. I mean, I'm not surprised.
So our junior Sakhi duo has just been super inspiring for all of us. They have really been following the tracker, and they have been making the habit and breaking the habit amazingly well. So we all can get inspired from them. And there are many other threads also, like another thread that got created today is about, if we see politics around us in our professional environment, how do we really go about dealing with it, which started today. And we already have some comments over it over there. So I really, really strongly encourage all of you to join the community portal and participate in these discussions. I'll again share the link as I'm receiving requests from people. So I'll share it again. And I think we are all set to go for our devotional segment.
Okay, no, great, Sandhya. That was really nice. So see, there are two benefits of contributing to this portal. One is it will help you reflect. And second is you can get help, basically. There might not be everything that we can discuss here. But then if there is a thread that is really gaining momentum, I would like to bring it to the session and have a good discussion on that from a scriptural standpoint as well. Okay. So it's about cooking a recipe and helping out each other and embellishing that recipe as well on some of the concepts that we discussed. It's a really good question. How do we navigate, or how do we deal with politics and negativity that we deal with in our environment? I think it would be a good question for a discussion in our session as well. But go ahead and start contributing what you think, and then hopefully we are able to bring it all together in the session itself. Great. With that, we can move to our devotional segment. Sri Ramyaji, there has been a request that you explain the meaning before you sing, so hopefully you can do that. And maybe we can take 3 hands today for the devotional segment before we wrap up today's session. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow to conclude. Not conclude, probably we'll need a couple of more sessions to conclude our discussion on Karma.
Yes, and I just received one message from Jyoti, which I also like. She says, this community portal thread will help us to keep us away from the Maya of Instagram and Facebook. I mean,
but the time you spend on Instagram, the things you can spend on community portal, because that's also a seva. You're actually contributing towards building a body of knowledge that can benefit a lot of people.
And it's a closed group. So, we all get an opportunity to connect with like-minded people. I really find that point very attractive.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So, Sri Ramyaji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Sri Ramyaji.
Radhe Radhe, this is a very simple bhajan in Hindi. So, I think everybody understands.
All right. Go for it, Sri Ramya.
Okay. Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol, Keshava Madhava Govinda Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, Chaitanya Hari Bol, God Hari Bol, Kripalu Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Thank you.
Beautiful, Sri Ramya. Thank you so much. Very nice. And I'm glad you were able to find satsang in Bangalore. So really happy for you, the group. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, awesome, Shri Ramya ji. Thank you. Next, we have Manish ji in line. Radhe Radhe, Manish ji. Awesome performance in that Leela depiction for Maharaj ji's birthday.
Radhe Radhe. That's the grace of God and Guru. So this one is a Bhagavad Gita bhajan about the mind that I heard on that I like to share if it's okay. It goes like this. मन से बड़ा बेहरूपी न कोई पल पल रच का स्वांग निराले माया ममता में उलझा रहे वो पड़ जाए जो मन के पाले मन के बहकावे में ना मन के बहकावे में ना मन राह बुलाए भ्रम में डाले तू इस मन का दास न बन इस मन को अपना दास बना ले तू इस मन का दास न बन इस मन को अपना दास बना ले थैंक यू राधे राधे
Beautiful, very nice, very apt for the occasion, Manishi. Thank you so much for that.
And Manish ji, I think if you can put it on the portal with meaning, it will reach out to many people. It has very deep meaning and very, I think, important points.
Yes, I will put it in, but basically it just says that we go through misery and pain because we've forgotten who we are and we've forgotten God. Mind disguises with many different things. Mind also can be your friend or your enemy. And those who are caught up in the world, illusion of this world, get caught up in it forever. And so as basically saying, don't forget this to the soul, don't forget, don't let the mind control you, but you control the mind. But I will put it in the chat. I'm driving right now, but I'll put it in the chat tomorrow with the meeting.
Yes, yes, Manishi. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Manishi. Very
Sure,
nice.
thank you.
Wonderful. All right. I can see a couple of more hands. Arunji, you had a question? Let's give Arunji.
Yes, Arunji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I mean, the other people are in line, so I can go later.
All right, no worries. Yes, Rahul from Raebareli, Vancouver to Raebareli.
Yes, Rahul ji, from India now. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, only 2 lines from written and composed by none other than Maharaj ji about man. मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा यह जग है एक भूल भुलैया यह जग है एक भूल भुलैया क्यों तू धोखा खा रहा क्यों तू धोखा खा रहा मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा राधे राधे
Very nice, beautiful. See, Maharaj ji, one of his greatest contributions in the years to come and for us, right, in his era is that he focused a lot on the mind aspect of it. Like no saints before they actually touched on that aspect. So the Manasi Bhakti, the remembrance part, the Roop Dhyan part, all that is Maharaj ji, and that is such an important part, right? So beautiful bhajan. There's another one, right? Matu man mani tyagare. That's a beautiful one. Every morning it comes when I'm sleeping. Okay, so I've heard it so many times. It's a beautiful one. Okay, real quick, we can take a couple of hands and then we can bring our session to close today. Yes, Arunji.
Yeah, Arunji. Now in line, it's your turn. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, I only know like a couple of Hindi bhajans, but I can sing this one. This is Hari Sundar Nadar Mukunda. So, yeah. Hari Sundar Nanda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. Hari Sundar Nanda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. Hari Keshav Hari Govinda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. Hari Sundar Nanda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. Vanmali Murli Dari, Govardhan Girivardhari, Nit Nit Karma Kan Chori, Gopi Manhari. आओ रे गाओ रे गोकुल के प्यारे, आओ रे कान्हा रे गोकुल के प्यारे. हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंदा, हरि नारायण हरि ओम. हरि सुंदर हरि सुंदर हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंदा, हरि नारायण हरि ओम.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, Arunji. You sing so well.
Yeah, debut performance, rocking.
Rocking debut performance. You win this award hands down today.
Thank you.
Kudos to you. Very nice. If you can fill out the feedback tracker, we'd like to be in touch with you. I think you can help us in a few things as well. So please do mention that. And I think one of us would be in touch with you, but loved it and love to hear more often from you.
Yeah, like unfortunately, I don't know that many Hindi bhajans actually, but yeah.
No worries. Very nice, very nice. Beautifully sung. Pleasure to have
Receiving messages in the chat as well. Beautiful bhajan. We look forward to hearing more from you, Arunji.
And bhavs with which you sang was pretty palpable, you know. So thank you so much.
And change in the tone as well, right? As that just made it even more beautiful. Wonderful.
Yes. So Arunji, please fill out the attendance tracker and rest of you as well if you haven't already. And we'll be in touch with you. I think you can help us out with a few things. So thank you so much for that.
Sure.
Thank you. Rukmani ji, Ashutosh ji, right? Radhe Radhe.
Is it Vitthal ji or Rukmani ji? Have you swapped names?
Radhe Radhe.
Oh, see, I could guess that. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
My name is Rukmani earlier also.
Oh,
so
you're
actually
Yeah, go ahead.
say two man mani jagre, so I will say two lines. I
Alright.
on that.
Go ahead.
तू मन मन मानी त्याग रे, तू मन मन मानी त्याग रे, बीते जन्म अनंत नींद महा, बीते जन्म अनंत नींद महा, तू अब तो उठ जाग रे, मन जाग रे, उठ जाग रे, तू मन मन मानी त्याग रे, तू मन मन मानी त्याग रे. राधे राधे.
Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a ticking time clock. It's a beautiful bhajan. If you listen that, if you want to develop vairagya, Maharaj Ji has bhajans. If you want to develop madhurya bhav, Maharaj Ji has bhajan. If you want to have virah bhavana, you name it and it's there. And this one is a good one to remind your intellect, you know, we have limited time and how we are spending this time. So thank you so much for that. Last but not the least, Payal Ji, please go ahead. This is a good way to wrap up our session today.
Yes, and Nightingale ji, Payal ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji, Nitin ji, and everyone. Okay, so today again I'll try one Meera bhajan.
Sure. You said Mera bhajan or Meera bhajan? Meera bhajan.
It's Mera Meera bhajan.
Okay, go ahead, please.
माई रे मैंने गोविंद लीनो मोल, माई रे मैंने गोविंद लीनो मोल, माई रे मैंने गोविंद लीनो मोल, माई रे मैंने गोविंद लीनो मोल। कोई कहे कारो, कोई कहे गोरो, कोई कहे कारो, कोई कहे गोरो, लीनो अमोलक मोल, माई गोविंद दीनो मोर माई रे मैंने गोविंद लीनो मोर. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Payalji. Can't thank you enough for giving us this treat, melodious treat. Before we wrap up our session, thank you so much for that. Beautiful, beautiful, like always you do.
Yeah, thank you for the
Thank you so
concluding.
much for the
Yeah.
opportunity. Thank you so much.
The
Group Dhyan opportunity.
pleasure is all ours. I must say that. Thank you so much for that. Okay, with that, I think we come to the end of today's session. We have done well with regards to time today. 15 minutes is okay. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe. Stay safe, stay blessed. A good day, and good rest of your evening. And I'll see you tomorrow. We'll continue on our discussion on Karma Yoga and take it further. Last principle is still pending to be discussed. So thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. And so many cameras were on today. So I would really like to thank all of you for engaging participation. Radhe Radhe. Good night. Good day. See you all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.